Okay, let's dive in. Imagine this. Springfield, Missouri, June 2015. News breaks about the murder of Dee Dee Blanchard.
Right.
And the community is just reeling, especially, after these really bizarre and horrifying Facebook posts pop up on Dee Dee's own account, basically announcing she's dead.
Yeah, it looked like a terrible tragedy, but straightforward maybe.
Exactly. But that feeling didn't last long, did it?
Not at all. Because then came the twist. The victim's own daughter, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and this guy she met online, Nicholas Godejohn, they're arrested.
And they confess.
They confess, which is stunning enough, but the real head-scratcher was, how does this girl, who everyone thought was, severely sick, wheelchair-bound, how does she end up involved in her own mother's murder?
That's exactly what we're digging into today.
Yeah.
How did this life, which seems so tragic from the outside, hide just layers upon layers of unbelievable deception and desperation, too? We've gone through all the sources you sent over, and our mission here is to really peel back those layers, pull out the key insights, and try to make sense of this incredibly disturbing, almost unbelievable true story.
And believe me, some of what we found, it's pretty shocking.
So let's start at the core. This whole thing hinges on a massive, calculated deception. What exactly was Dee Dee Blanchard doing? What's the condition involved here?
Well, it's what's known as factitious disorder imposed on another, FDIA. Sometimes people might know the older term Munchausen by proxy.
Right.
Basically, the allegation is that Dee Dee forced Gypsy Rose to pretend she had all these severe physical and mental disabilities she just didn't have.
Okay, so faking illnesses. But when you look into Dee Dee's own past, this wasn't exactly out of character, was it?
Not according to the sources, no. Her background really hints at this pattern of manipulation long, long before Gypsy. Dee Dee, born Claudine Petrie in Louisiana back in '67, her own family had suspicions.
Suspicions about what?
Stealing from relatives, for one, maybe as some kind of payback. But then, much darker stuff. Speculation she neglected her own mother, Emma, possibly even withheld food.
Wow.
Family members apparently believe that contributed to Emma's death in '97, and it doesn't stop there. There were accusations she poisoned her stepmother, Laura.
Poisoned her? With what?
Roundup weed killer, believe it or not. Laura got sick, but recovered after Dee Dee left the picture.
That's chilling.
Yeah, and on top of all that, you've got minor arrests for things like writing bad checks. It really paints this picture of someone willing to manipulate, to deceive, pretty consistently.
So this pattern of deception, it just gets focused on a Gypsy Rose.
Yeah.
How early did that start?
Almost immediately, which is just heartbreaking. From when Gypsy was only about 3 months old, Dee Dee started claiming she had sleep apnea.
Despite medical tests.
Despite tests showing absolutely no sign of it, then came claims of muscular dystrophy. That led to Gypsy having to use a walker.
And eventually a wheelchair.
Right. A wheelchair was introduced after Gypsy had a minor motorcycle accident, maybe age 7 or 8. Dee Dee insisted doctors said she needed it permanently.
And the isolation. The homeschooling.
Yeah, Dee Dee claimed Gypsy was too sick for regular school, homeschooled her. But many people looking back think that was absolutely about isolating her, controlling her world.
Did Gypsy have any education, though?
Gypsy actually said later she basically taught herself to read, secretly reading the Harry Potter books.
Wow. That takes some determination.
It really does. And it wasn't just about pretending to be sick. It was the things Dee Dee made her endure medically, right?
Yeah, talk about that. What kind of invasive procedures are we talking about?
Oh, it's a horrible list. Powerful anti-seizure meds she didn't need, multiple surgeries, constant ER visits for things Dee Dee would exaggerate.
Like what kind of surgeries?
Well, maybe the most shocking. She had Botox treatments on Gypsy's salivary glands, and then eventually had them surgically removed altogether.
Removed, why?
To control supposed drooling. But Gypsy later claimed her mother would actually cause the drooling using a topical anesthetic right before they went to the doctor.
That's unbelievable.
And the consequences were real. Without those glands, and because of the medication side effects, most of Gypsy's front teeth decayed and had to be pulled.
Oh my God.
She also had tubes put in her ears for fake infections. Dee Dee shaved her head regularly, telling her the meds would make her hair fall out anyway, so she wore wigs, hats.
And the feeding tube? Or was it liquid nutrition?
It was Pediasure, a liquid nutrition supplement for kids. Dee Dee fed her that, often via a feeding tube Gypsy didn't medically need, well into her 20s. instead of, normal food.
That level of control is just staggering. And it wasn't just medical, right? There was direct abuse, too.
Absolutely, both psychological and physical. Gypsy talked about Dee Dee squeezing her hand, really hard if she ever said something that contradicted the story or seemed too capable.
And when they were alone.
Then it could be physical hitting. Open hands, even a coat hanger. Gypsy also said she developed an addiction to pain pills from around 16, likely because of all the unnecessary medication she was on.
It was just total pervasive control.
Yes, absolutely.
Which makes the public perception even harder to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
How did they pull off this image, this brave single mom and her severely disabled daughter?
Yeah.
They got so much sympathy, so much charity.
They really did. And I think it plays into these deeply ingrained ideas we have about mothers, sacrifice, disability. It created this powerful narrative, especially after Hurricane Katrina.
Right, they were displaced by Katrina, weren't they?
Yes, they lost their home in Louisiana, ended up in Missouri, and that story, losing everything, it really resonated. Habitat for Humanity built them a house in Springfield, special features, wheelchair ramp, even a hot tub.
Wow.
They got free flights for medical trips, free visits to Disney World, Make-A-Wish Foundation experiences. I mean, the support was huge.
And all this time, Gypsy's actual father,
Rod Blanchard, her biological dad, he was still involved. He kept sending child support, like $1,200 a month.
but Dee Dee didn't acknowledge that.
No, she told neighbors he was this abusive drug addict who sent nothing, kept the money. She even manipulated Gypsy's age to him, telling him on Gypsy's 18th birthday not to mention her real age because Gypsy thought she was only 14.
Yeah, that's just layers upon layers of lies. But surely with all the medical stuff, some doctors must have had doubts.
Some did, and this is where it gets frustrating, you know? There were definite red flags. In 2007, a pediatric neurologist, Dr. Bernardo Flasterstein, he got really suspicious about the muscular dystrophy diagnosis.
What did he find?
His tests showed nothing abnormal. He actually told Dee Dee straight up, "I don't see any reason why she doesn't walk." He noted Dee Dee was, quote, "not a good historian."
So he was onto her.
He was. He even found out Gypsy's original muscle biopsy from Louisiana was negative, completely contradicting Dee Dee's story and her claim that Katrina destroyed all the records. He suspected FDIA.
What happened then? Did he report it?
Well, Dee Dee found out he was suspicious, probably saw his notes, and just stopped taking Gypsy to him. And this is a point that experts, like Dr. Mark Feldman, who studies FDIA, really emphasize.
Let's say.
Feldman later criticized Flasterstein, saying doctors have an obligation to report suspected abuse like this to Child Protective Services, but many don't. It highlights a real systemic failure.
Why is it so hard to catch?
Well, think about it. You have a caregiver, usually the mother, who seems incredibly devoted, knows all the medical jargon. Doctors often see the child for specific issues, not the whole picture. It's hard to connect the dots, especially if the child is being presented as nonverbal or having cognitive issues. It's designed to fool people.
And it wasn't just doctors. Didn't someone call the police once?
Yes. In 2009, an anonymous caller reported Dee Dee using different names, different birthdays for both of them, and suggested Gypsy wasn't as sick as Dee Dee claimed.
So police checked it out.
They did a wellness check, but Dee Dee gave them a story about using false info to hide from an abusive ex-husband, meaning Rod.
And they believed her.
Apparently so. They accepted her explanation, didn't even contact Rod to verify, and just closed the file.
Unbelievable.
And the result? Gypsy herself said later she wasn't even sure of her own real age for 14 years. That's how deep the deception went and how the system kind of failed to catch it.
So as Gypsy got older, she must have started realizing things weren't right. Did she try to get away?
She did. And her attempts got more desperate as time went on. There was a significant one in February 2011. She met a guy online, planned to run away with him at a sci-fi convention.
What happened?
Dee Dee found them, tracked them down to his hotel room, and the punishment was apparently severe. Gypsy said Dee Dee smashed her computer, smashed her phone with a hammer, threatened to break her fingers if she tried it again.
Oh my God.
Gypsy claimed Dee Dee then kept her leashed and handcuffed to the bed, starved her for 2 weeks.
That's horrific.
And Dee Dee doubled down on the psychological control, too. Told Gypsy she'd filed paperwork declaring her mentally incompetent, so if she ever went to the police, nobody would believe her anyway.
Making her feel completely trapped.
Exactly. Utterly trapped. But she didn't completely give up.
She tried again.
Yeah, in June 2011, she actually shot Dee Dee
Shot her.
with a BB gun 10 times. Gypsy said she thought it was a real gun at the time.
What did Dee Dee do?
Covered it up, claimed the injuries were from someone trying to rob her at Walmart, just kept the facade going.
Any other incidents?
There was a shoplifting thing in 2012 at a Hobby Lobby. Gypsy hid stuff in her wheelchair, but maybe the most important thing happening then was her secret online life.
Right. Despite the smashed computer, she found ways back online.
She did. Connecting with people was her lifeline. She even admitted later to sharing explicit photos of herself online, said it was a way to try and feel good about herself, find some kind of control or validation.
And it's during this time, seeking connection online, that she meets Nicholas Godejohn, around 2012.
That's right. They met on a Christian singles website, ironically enough.
What do we know about him? Godejohn.
The sources describe him as very lonely. He had a history of mental health issues, sometimes reported as dissociative identity disorder, definitely diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. His IQ was tested at 82.
Did he have a record?
He did. Some prior arrests, one for indecent exposure, masturbating in a McDonald's, and another for carrying a concealed knife.
Okay. And Gypsy confided in someone about him.
Yeah, she told her neighbor, Aaliyah Woodmansey, quite a bit about their online relationship. It got pretty intense, apparently included some BDSM themes, which Gypsy later said were more his interests than hers. They talked about running away, getting married, even picked out baby names.
Did the neighbor take it seriously?
Aaliyah kind of dismissed it, called them fantasies and dreams, said she never thought nothing like this would ever really take place, just couldn't imagine it would lead to, well, what it led to.
But those fantasies started moving towards reality, didn't they? What was the step that really escalated things?
In March 2015, they met in person for the first time. Gypsy arranged it so Godejohn would accidentally bump into them at a movie theater while they were on a trip for Dee Dee's birthday.
And did anything happen?
Godejohn claimed they had sex in the handicap stall there. Gypsy disputed that, said he couldn't perform. Whatever happened, their online communication definitely continued and intensified.
And that's when the plan to kill Dee Dee started to form.
It seems so. Driven by Gypsy's absolute desperation to escape, and Godejohn's own issues and willingness to go along with it, they started planning Dee Dee's murder.
Which brings us to June 2015. That night, can you walk us through the events? It's chilling.
It really is. Godejohn traveled back to Springfield. Gypsy sent him the money for the bus ticket. He arrived, waited until Dee Dee was asleep.
Gypsy let him in.
Yes, she let him into the house. Sources say she gave him duct tape, gloves, and the knife.
And what did Gypsy do?
She went into the bathroom, said she covered her ears so she wouldn't hear it. Godejohn went into Dee Dee's bedroom and stabbed her 17 times in the back as she slept.
Just horrific.
And the details afterwards are disputed and disturbing. Godejohn claimed they then had consensual sex in Gypsy's room.
But Gypsy said otherwise.
Gypsy alleged he raped her afterwards. She claimed she cried out for her mom during it. She also claimed Godejohn had wanted to rape Dee Dee before the murder and told Gypsy he'd rape her instead since she hadn't let him. It's incredibly dark.
After the murder, they took money.
Yeah, they took over $4,400 in cash Dee Dee had in the house, mostly accumulated from Rod's child support payments. Then they fled.
How did they get away?
They mailed the murder weapon back to Godejohn's place in Wisconsin first, then they took a bus there.
And then came those Facebook posts. How did the police figure it out so fast?
It was incredibly quick, actually, those posts, "That bitch is dead," and others, they immediately alarmed friends and neighbors. They called 911.
Police found the body.
Yes. And that neighbor Gypsy confided in, Aaliyah Woodmansey, she gave the police crucial information about the secret online boyfriend in Wisconsin.
Ah, so they traced the IP address.
Exactly. They tracked the Facebook post's IP address to Godejohn's house in Big Bend, Wisconsin. The very next day, police there arrested both Gypsy and Godejohn.
And they confessed right away.
Pretty much, yes. Both confessed. And that's when the sheriff, Jim Arnott, made that statement that just flipped the whole narrative upside down.
The things are not always what they appear.
And that's the one. Announcing Gypsy wasn't sick, she could walk. Public sympathy just did a complete 180 almost overnight.
So the legal process begins. Prosecutors called it extraordinary and unusual. How did the charges and sentences play out?
Well, given the extreme circumstances, prosecutors decided not to seek the death penalty for Gypsy Rose.
Good.
She took a plea deal, pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in July 2016. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison.
And she seemed to physically change in prison.
Yeah, it was widely reported she gained about 14 pounds fairly quickly, finally getting proper nutrition after years of that liquid diet and unnecessary meds.
She was paroled recently, right?
Yes, December 2023. After serving about 8.5 years of her 10-year sentence.
And Nicholas Godejohn, what happened with him?
He faced first-degree murder charges. His defense argued for diminished capacity, pointing to his autism diagnosis and his low IQ, 82.
Does that work?
No. During his trial in November 2018, the prosecution presented a lot of evidence. Explicit texts between him and Gypsy, details showing he knew Dee Dee's habits, plus his own video confession.
Gypsy testified at his trial too, didn't she?
She did. It was complicated. She confirmed it was her idea initially to kill Dee Dee because she saw no other way out of the abuse.
But she also mentioned another plan.
Right. She said she'd also considered trying to get pregnant by Godejohn. Her hope was that maybe, just maybe, if there was a baby, Dee Dee might accept him in their relationship. She'd even stolen some baby clothes with that idea in mind.
Wow, just shows the desperation. What was the verdict for Godejohn?
He was found guilty. First-degree murder and armed criminal action. He got sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus another 25 years.
And there were appeals later, mentions of other evidence.
Yeah, during his appeals, there was talk about videos allegedly showing Gypsy manipulating him emotionally, even an instructional video about how to carry out the stabbing. It just adds another layer of complexity to their dynamic, raises questions about influence and control between them.
So when all this truth came tumbling out, the abuse, the lies, Gypsy's involvement, how did the community in Springfield react? They must have felt completely fooled.
Oh, absolutely. Shock, disbelief, betrayal. People felt really deceived. One neighbor was quoted saying something like, "What have I been believing? How could I have been so stupid?"
Was there still support for Dee Dee?
Initially, yes. There was a candlelight vigil held for her right after the murder was discovered. But as the details of the abuse and deception emerged, that grief definitely shifted to disillusionment for many. It really undermined their trust.
And the family reactions were pretty stark too, weren't they? Especially Dee Dee's relatives versus Gypsy's father.
Totally different ends of the spectrum. Dee Dee's family, back in Louisiana. They basically said she got what she deserved. No mourning there. They even claimed they flushed her ashes down the toilet, said they tried confronting her years before about how she treated Gypsy.
Wow. But Rod, Gypsy's dad,
He was much more forgiving, understanding maybe. He said Dee Dee had started a web of lies and there was no escaping, like a tornado, he called it. He was just incredibly happy when he finally saw Gypsy walking freely.
and Gypsy herself, looking back from prison, she had some really powerful things to say.
She did. That quote about feeling freer in prison than living with her mom, that says so much.
Because now I'm allowed to just live like a normal woman.
Exactly. She spent time in prison researching FTIA, said she realized her mother fit every single symptom. It's some to help her process it, give it a name.
Did she take responsibility for the murder?
She acknowledged her crime, yes, but also expressed a hope that maybe her story could help other victims of abuse someday. She also found love in prison, married Ryan Scott Anderson in 2022.
Though they split up after her release, right?
Yeah, they separated pretty quickly in March 2024. So her life outside is still obviously very complex and unfolding.
And from the medical side, how unique is this case? We mentioned Dr. Feldman.
Right, Dr. Mark Feldman, the FDIA expert, he looked at the details and said Dee Dee definitely fit the profile. But he also called Gypsy's actions, the abused child killing the abusing parent, in an FDIA case unprecedented in all his years of research. It's vanishingly rare.
Which probably explains why this story has had such a massive impact on popular culture.
Oh, for sure. It's just gripped people. You've got the documentaries like HBO's Mommy, Dad, and Dearest, and the recent Lifetime series, The Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
And the dramatizations too, like the act on Hulu.
Exactly. The act got a lot of attention, Emmy nominations for Joey King playing Gypsy and Patricia Arquette as Dee Dee. The story just has all these elements of psychological horror, deception, a bizarre crime that really fascinate people and make them question appearances.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, we've journeyed through this incredibly tangled story. What started as a shocking murder revealed just unbelievable layers of deception and a truly horrific form of child abuse.
Yeah, Dee's pathological control, Gypsy's desperate bid for freedom.
Yeah.
It led down such a tragic path.
In this case, it really stands out, doesn't it? Especially thinking about factitious disorder imposed on another. It forces you to ask some hard questions.
Definitely. Questions about how we perceive things, how easily we can be fooled, the power dynamics involved, and these hidden lives that exist right under our noses, sometimes completely by design.
It pushes us into uncomfortable territory, thinking of where victimhood might blur into culpability, and how our society spots, or maybe more often, misses abuse when it's deliberately made invisible. So the thought to leave you with is this. What does a case like Gypsy Rose Blanchard's truly tell us about the absolute limits of human endurance under abuse, and maybe even more chillingly, the profound depths of human deception, especially when it comes from the very person supposed to protect you?